Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited's Group Executive Director, Kayode Komolafe, a.k.a. Mr. KK. Lovely to have you this beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning.
Good morning, Kashi. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning,
and
KK.
good morning, Oji.
Good morning, Mr. KK. How are you doing this Sunday morning on our Sunday Tonic program?
I'm very pleased to be here again.
Yeah, always a delight
Good to have you too, KK.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's jump into it. We'll start the newspaper review with this day on Sunday, the newspaper of record. The lead story is a big one, and it's coming from the EFCC, where the chairman, Olukayode, EFCC probing 18 sitting governors awaiting expiration of their tenures. And the rider says nothing cultural about spraying, abusing Naira. Those are two important issues from the chairman of the EFCC. 18 out of 36 governors, he says, are being probed, and they're waiting the expiration of their tenure, or apparently before they are invited or picked. But a lot of people may have a few references as to, okay, if that's the thing, what about the ones who are no longer in power and they're no longer enjoying immunity? Will we witness, months or years of running after governors who decide not to show up? Or will we have like a file share who will say, here I am, pick me. I'm ready for your, for all the allegations. And at the end of the day, the court will vindicate the governor. And on the other matter, I'm sure, KK, you might have one or two things to say. It looks to me like the chairman of the EFCC appeared to be mixing two things. Spraying of the Naira as a cultural thing, and then the abuse of the Naira. I'm not so sure if both are the same. Maybe you should also put a lot of emphasis on the scarcity of mint, new Naira notes in all our banks, but every party that you go to, whether in Lagos or in Ibadan or in Kara Nabuda, everywhere you see bales, packs of the same new notes that are being sold, to people. What is the EFCC chairman doing about that? Below that story, First Lady leads governors' wives, other women on condolence visit to Buhari's widow. And that is complemented by the cover picture on today's This Day. We share in your grief, showing the former First Lady, the widow of the former president, the late Muhammadu Buhari, and the current First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, on a condolence visit to the woman who has just lost her dear husband. That's the second picture, actually. There are two pictures on the cover of This Day. Beside the first picture, Presidency APC tackled ADC over Buhari's burial for political image laundering claim. APC, ADC, you have to be attentive so that you don't confuse, the two. And on the window story, CBN raises 3.58 trillion Naira from NTBS OMO in May 2025, demonstrating investors' show of confidence. CBN, again, is showing that even if these are nominal values, there are positive, readings within the economic and the financial sector. And last but not the least is the story on the stripe. FG states local government revenue receives a boost as FARC shares highest allocation of 1.818 trillion Naira in June, highest ever since 2023. More money going into the pockets of the governors and the local government authorities. For those who are saying, oh, it's because Naira has been devalued, oh, it's because of this, that's taken, but then there are months that the figures just keep growing. What are they doing at the state level, at the local government level, with the additional funding that they are getting? That's the question on the lips of most Nigerians. Over to you, sir, KK.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. There should be a distinction between abuse of Naira and the cultural practice, of giving. Yes, I think
that is also sensitive to abuse of Naira.
Yes, exactly. I think, but I think the EFCC chairman, Mr. Olukayode, is quite on point when he's addressing the question of abuse of Naira.
Yes.
I think that is not acceptable. And I don't know of any culture, that permits that. That definitely is not part of any Nigerian culture, that you. Because in the real cultural setting, it is not cultural that we abuse currency. Even when it was even cowries and coins, it was handled. The other part,
and the abuse of the Naira, by the way, KK, shouldn't be limited to parties alone.
Yes.
I had an encounter in Paris at a time when I was a fellow in Paris, and a woman refused to take rumpled French francs at that time. But no, this is not the French money. If the money is not properly presented to me, and it's something that I would do with the Naira too. Don't write on the paper. It's not a jotting pad. Don't rumple it and stuff like that. Those are also abuses in one way or the other, which EFCC should look at. It doesn't just happen only on the dance floor or at parties.
After the clean notes came out, I don't think I can use my eye to see one bad dirty note. Naira, I don't want any dirty note. One abused note in my handbag. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for that observation. Two other points I think we should also raise, apart from what we're talking about, is that people should not forget that to produce a note, a currency, it costs money.
Yes.
It costs a lot of money. In fact, at times, people say that even what it costs to produce a 200 Naira note is the value, the cost is more than 200. It's more than 200 Naira that the central bank will have to pay.
If it's a polyema, what do they call that? If it's a polyema note,
it costs money. So the economic effect or the impact of it, should be considered. The other point too, saying that it goes beyond the dancing floor or parties, is that, for example, when you go into the markets, and the way to handle that. Now, when the thing gets dirty, it also has health effect.
absolutely.
Microbiologists will tell you that if you take a note, maybe a hot and you take it to the lab, for culture, you can imagine the amount of organisms that people are carrying about, And so I imagine a situation whereby, somebody gives you a change, 200 Naira, 100 Naira, and you hold it, and you fail to wash your hand, and you use the hand again to handle a food item, maybe fruit, In the process, infection actually could take place. So that is the health effect.
You want to count it.
Yeah.
Some people are in the habit of putting their finger in their mouth.
It's like inoculating, themselves with those organisms. So that is the health effect of it. From a microbiological point of view. So that's why I said that the EFCC is quite on point. In this. But I think the distinction we should make is very important, because, for instance, if you go to a party, you are impressed. You are impressed by the performance of the musician, and you put some money in the envelope and you give it, to the musician. I don't think you have. Or maybe you invite me to your birthday party, which you are still waiting for. I come there after eating your jollof rice. I put some money in the envelope and I give it to you. I don't think that is.
You can actually put it here. I won't let it fall. I won't let it fall. I will hold it.
No, what I'm even saying that we don't. This idea of maybe pasting it on the face or whatever that but you can handle it cleanly, and put or like in some parties it's done now. You can take a bowl,
a basket,
a plate, clean plate,
and everyone just
before
drops it.
And it drops it, so that it's not rumpled. I also imagine that if that is done, that will not constitute, an offense. So I think it's the right company. Then quickly, if you permit, the other point about corruption, first, I think the EFCC, deserves, the public support in the fight. It's not a fight for EFCC alone. Chapter 2, if you go to Chapter 2 of the Constitution, it makes the fight for corruption a patriotic duty of everybody, of every citizen. We all have this duty. So it's just that EFCC, ICPC, and other, maybe the police, they are agencies that are equipped professionally, to fight it. But at the moral, social level, the fight against corruption is the job of everybody. So to that extent, EFCC deserves all the support. And in doing so,
the nation also led with that story, so
yes,
it shows the importance of
yes, exactly. And I think it's also in some other newspapers. But then EFCC also could benefit from some counsel. I think the approach of when you are still at the stage of investigation, you are announcing to the world. I'm afraid that is less than professional. For instance, the National Crime Agency, the British National Crime Agency, ACA, perhaps we will not adopt that kind of a method, or the Serial Fraud Office, SFO, or FBI, when you just go on your investigation, if at a point, you get a point where you are at the point of, you have got enough evidence to prosecute, to take the person to court, you go ahead, And even in this, the investigation that EFCC might be doing now, it is not only perhaps the governor who could be under investigation, it's only the governor who has immunity. No, the governor and the deputy, only the governor and his deputy has immunity. Yeah. Other officials of the state who might be one, they don't have immunity. So if you have enough, so because we should be wary, the EFCC should be wary of being successful, to charges of media trial, because at the end of the day, there is the strong element of perception when you are discussing corruption. Now, when the anti-corruption agency in Nigeria in July 2025 says that half the number of governors we have in Nigeria are under investigation for corruption. So if tomorrow, if at the end of the year, Transparency International or any other agency, in trying to rate, talk of the corruption index, and they now say that, on the basis of that, you now raise, the corruption perception index of Nigeria. That maybe now, if they say, I don't know what the rate is now. And they come out and say that, Nigeria is the most corrupt country in the world. So I'm saying it from the viewpoint that, that we are as patrons, we must fight corruption, but we also have the duty to be PR managers of our country. Corruption is not endemic to Nigeria. There is no country in the world where corruption does not take place, but the way it is handled, matters. So it's while continue with his good job, why the EFCC deserves all the support. I think the method also should be properly examined. So I think it is completely out of place. Announcing ahead that so many governors are. Who would know when you get to the point of prosecuting them, and then you take them to court, the public will know. And just like you said, Steve, at the end of the day, after the investigation, prosecution, the ultimate verdict is still with the court, Yes. So and we have seen cases before where at the end of the day, those people who have been investigated for are prosecuted, are put. So I think for effectiveness, and also for the EFCC, to engender, public confidence, and not to make itself vulnerable to allegations, of media trial. I think the method is using should be properly reviewed, But over and above all, I think the EFCC is doing a good job. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we head over to This Day Style? We can pull up This Day Style. The cover picture is that of our late former president, Muhammadu Buhari, CFR, 1942 to 2025. The dark image, I think, is quite apt. And it's good that they made the cover of This Day Style. And the editor's note there She wrote, the remains of former President Muhammadu Buhari were laid to rest in Naira, Katsina State on Tuesday, July 15, 2025, in a dignified ceremony steeped in respect and tradition. Draped in Nigeria's national colors, his casket arrived from London, where he passed on July 13, 2025, on a Nigerian Air Force aircraft, accompanied by Vice President Kashim Shettima and senior officials. Thousands lined the streets as it was carried by chopper. Well, not by, I don't think it was by chopper, to his hometown. There was a motorcade all the way to Daura. We watched that ceremony live, and we have commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his efforts in the way that he conducted the funeral rites of our late former President Muhammadu Buhari. We also know that yesterday, the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, visited Aisha Buhari with other state governors, a condolence visit, which was... wives of state governors, right, were there yesterday. I think, was it on the cover of this day? Okay, good, fantastic. Well, all right, we always, here on the table, we pray for the repose of his soul and pray that God, forgives his sins and, may he continue to rest in peace.
Yes, thank you. In addition to the valid points that I've made, Oji, I think readers will find the cover story of this day's style today, a very important one, and I think it should be read, because in addition to the editor's note, there's the cover story itself, written by the editor, Konya, it's also a piece, that will be very valuable to future historians, who actually want to put in perspective, it's really a collector's item, and it's a fitting tribute, to the memory of the late president, So I invite readers to read, the cover story in a very brilliant piece. I say it's brilliant in the sense that it does not fall into the two extremes that we have been having, that we have been having in the public sphere since the death of Buhari. On the one hand, people who could be maybe putting forward, panegyrics, Buhari was not a saint, but at the same time, to me, it is also not acceptable, the kind of very toxic, things that people have been putting, even to the extent of people even questioning while the memory, of the late president, should be dignified, why it should be given a dignified burial, I thought what should be an issue is that if the incumbent president, does not accord his predecessor a dignified burial, does not honor his memory, so I wonder why anybody should have a quarrel for the fact that the president of the country, and I'm saying this, and this is the importance of Konya's piece. The thing is, Buhari, fall into the group.
You don't have to agree with the former president or even a dead president, but don't legislate that he cannot be celebrated by those who choose to.
Who choose to, because that is the nature of historical personalities. Buhari falls into the category, of leaders you call historical personalities, and it is always like that you have division of opinion. Go to Chile today. When you talk of Augusto, Pinochet, there are people who are very passionate, and they will tell you that the best thing that has ever happened to Chile is Pinochet. And there's some of us, for example, on the left, who will say, Pinochet, committed 1,000, So if you stage a rally against the memory of Pinochet, you have a counter rally, supporting it. In the same way, when Margaret Thatcher died, the British society was also split. There are people who believe that Thatcher did one of the greatest things in the life of the British society, and there are those who believe that Thatcher was the one who destroy the welfare state, with a right-wing program. So I'm just to buttress what Steve is saying, that people should know that one perspective cannot be deemed to be legitimate, and the other perspective is a crime. You know, because when you look at some of the toxic things that people write, you think that for people to say no, to say that Buhari even did anything at all is a crime. You know, so I think that's why I say that the cover it divides, and we should respect, you know,
let's take a look at the Sunday Punch today.
Opinions, yes.
I think the major story, we don't have a lot of time, but we can talk about the 4,000 CNG trucks. Tanker drivers panic as Dangote marketers tighten distribution deal. NATO Nogasa plan emergency meeting over looming job losses. And Petron tags Greek gift warns against monopoly. That's one story that you can find the story on the Sunday Punch page 3. And let's talk about a conversation that I would find interesting. A monument of waste, the 41 billion Naira Akwa Ibom Specialist Hospital with rotting facilities. I think this would have been a great conversation to have when we had our guest, Aniyekan, earlier on the show.
Steve was pointing attention to it.
Yes. That's quite an interesting one. And of course, I think this is a good one. Nigeria exports $1.34 billion crude oil to the US within 5 months. I think based on the time that we have, do you want to touch on these major stories?
Let's add Sunday Vanguard to it because of the last 2 minutes, so that we have diversity of papers. The lead story says how Nigerian leaders flee failing health system. You remember yesterday, 2 newspapers also focused on the cost, of having our leaders go abroad on health tourism, and also to celebrate the man who will be king in Ibadan, Olubadan Ladoja. Olubadan in quotes because he's yet to be coronated. Sunday Vanguard says, a man who outlives godfathers. He was a senator, he was a governor, impeached at the time, returned, fought godfathers locally, and nationally, fought governors who said that, no, they have to change how the Ibadan system, which is very respected for its Republican nature, works. But Ladoja, the Otun Olubadan, who will now be the Olubadan, says, no, we will stay with culture. With the passing of Oba Olubadan Olakuleyin, it is expected that Senator Ladoja will fulfill his lifelong ambition as the next Olubadan of Ibadan land. So this story in the Vanguard is celebrating a man who has outlived godfathers, and at just 80, I say just, decidedly, many people will be looking forward to a beautiful reign of the Olubadan designate, given, his education, given his candor, given the fact that he's a man of, vision and foresight. 10 seconds, KK, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Steve, I'm also very fascinated about the succession model, of Ibadan, and I always wonder, while all these theoreticians will give lectures about leadership recruitment, about succession, motivational speakers, why they don't use Ibadan as a use case, and also that perhaps it validates what people like, even though I may not agree, Obasanjo is saying that, that within our traditional society that we could actually have something that we could look into, that is not
Afro-democracy. Obasanjo calls it Afro-democracy. You can pick one or two lessons from it.
But I think the Ibadan model is one that is really worth.
And for somebody who has run a state, has been a federal lawmaker, to become the Olubadan, I'm sure that there will be one or two things that the nation can learn from him when he becomes.
All we can say is best wishes.
Best wishes.
And on that note, Mr. Komolafe, I would like to thank you very much for joining us on the newspaper review today.
Thank you, KK. Thank you very much. Beautiful show it's been. And that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayorinde.
I'm Kachi Ofia. Many thanks for being a part of the show.
And I'm Oji Okpe. From our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.